Okay, let's unpack this. If you're managing a rapidly expanding global enterprise, you know the complexity of running payroll across borders. It's a it's not just an HR problem, is it?
No, absolutely not. It's a massive scalability bottleneck. We're talking
Mm.
about navigating this constantly shifting maze, country-specific tax laws, stringent regulatory compliance, localized reporting. It's a lot.
It really is. And that maze forces a critical strategic decision. Do you go for fragmentation or standardization?
Exactly. Most companies, well, they initially default to fragmentation, relying on a patchwork of local providers, different vendors,
Easier maybe at the start, or seems like it.
perhaps. But every time they do that, they're signing up for inherent operational friction, compromised data integrity, and honestly, a massive loss of centralized visibility. It builds up.
Right. And that's the core tension we need to analyze today. We're really examining that strategic shift away from those, let's call them legacy models, towards a truly unified global payroll architecture. Our focus here is to understand why a solution like, say, the Merkins HR Blizz model is strategically positioned to eliminate that cross-border complexity, to show that centralization isn't just easier, it's fundamentally superior.
And when we talk about friction, it's important to be clear. This isn't just inconvenience.
No.
We're talking measurable cost. Think about the manual data handoffs between all these disparate systems, the redundancy of managing, dozens of contracts, the latency introduced because you're relying on third-party intermediaries who might not even be properly integrated into your core systems.
That fragmentation sounds like where compliance errors just thrive.
It is, absolutely.
And yet organizations often choose that route because they think it guarantees localized expertise, right? They worry a centralized system can't possibly handle the nuances of payroll in, I don't know, Singapore versus Saudi Arabia.
And that fear, well, it's often based on outdated technology. Merkins redefines global payroll precisely by leveraging a unified architecture. It's a single platform powering payroll, WFM, and compliance across 160-plus countries.
One single platform.
One platform. The scope is driven by end-to-end automation. You see, this standardization is the only real way to eliminate that complexity, which otherwise just gets pushed onto the client's internal teams through endless manual reconciliation.
Okay, so let's drill down into that WFM component, workforce management, because that's a huge source of friction in fragmented systems, isn't it? Getting time and attendance data to flow smoothly into the payroll calculation.
Oh, absolutely. It rarely does flow smoothly in those older models, and you need to manage the sheer variety of workforces globally.
How does a single architecture handle that variety?
This is where agility becomes mandatory. A true global solution can't just assume everyone's using a digital timesheet in some corporate office somewhere.
Right, you've got factory floors, maybe physical clocks.
Exactly. Physical clocks, remote contractors, complex shift workers, you name it. We developed the flexible WSM toolkit specifically to adapt dynamically to all these scenarios.
Can you give us a specific example? How does that adaptation work in practice?
Sure. Imagine a client, right? They've got corporate staff, say, in Europe, using digital timesheets, and manufacturing staff in Southeast Asia using physical clocks.
Okay, different needs entirely.
Completely. The manufacturing team might need complex calculation rules for rotating shifts, specific regional public holiday adjustments, maybe layered overtime calcs that kick in after 40 hours weekly or 8 hours daily. Very specific local rules. Our integrated WFM solution automatically captures that time data, applies those specific local rules instantaneously, and feeds the resulting calculation directly into the payroll engine. No external spreadsheets.
Which are notorious for errors.
Absolutely notorious. This eliminates that need, cutting out a major source of human error.
That seamless synchronization time, attendance, pay calculation, that's critical for reliable data. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, I think, particularly for large enterprises. The tech stack superiority and integration leadership. Historically, integrating global payroll was, well, it was an expensive multi-year nightmare, often involving complex middleware, just to make siloed systems talk to each other.
That middleware dependency isn't just complex. It's a security liability. And it's a massive drag on the total cost of ownership. Every extra layer is just another point of potential failure.
So what's the alternative?
Our competitive advantage is zero middleware dependence. We achieve this through proprietary layer. Direct API pulls straight into the Merkins engine.
Okay, so simplifying that a bit, you're saying you've cut out that expensive translation layer, that bit of software that used to have to interpret data between, say, Workday and the payroll system.
Exactly that. We bypass it.
And that was often the source of delays and data corruption, right?
Precisely. Bypassing it means cleaner data, faster data, fewer failure points, and vastly superior security control because the connectivity is direct. Simple as that.
And when you look at integrating with the big core HCM platforms, Workday, SAP SuccessFactors, Oracle HCM, this direct integration must change the implementation timeline completely.
It does, dramatically. These integrations are famously painful in the industry.
So when you claim seamless integration with a leader like Workday, what does that actually mean in terms of deployment speed? How fast are we talking?
We can demonstrate seamless Workday integration completed in as little as 3 months.
3 months, that's fast.
It is. But, the truly strategic metric here isn't just speed, it's predictability. This implementation is guarantees low risk and fixed cost.
Fixed costs. That's huge for enterprises.
Absolutely, especially those that have scaled rapidly. They avoid that painful surprise of per-country integration fees that multi-platform models often hit you with. A fixed cost means the global rollout is predictable, budgeted from day one, no surprises.
Predictability is paramount when you're scaling, definitely. And reliability is non-negotiable. Okay, so if you have potentially hundreds of countries feeding into one engine, how does the unified platform ensure data integrity? What stops, frankly, garbage data from derailing a global pay run?
Yeah, good question. That's handled through our real-time auditing layer. The system uses AI-driven automated error handling and alerts.
AI-driven.
Yes. This capability detects and flags anomalies, think missing data, inconsistent formatting, potential regulatory violations. It flags them in real time. Often, it corrects them before they even reach the payroll calculation phase.
So it cleans the data on the way in?
Essentially, yes. This approach ensures a reliable data flow. And importantly, it enhances the client's existing HCM ecosystem. We complement, we don't replace their massive investment in systems like Workday or SAP.
That makes sense for standardization. But we do have to address the inevitable skepticism. How does a single unified platform maintain local relevance? Tax codes, regulations, they change constantly all over the globe.
Right, and that's the architectural innovation of the cloud-native HR Blizz platform. It successfully combines that centralized global standardization. You get a consistent user experience, a single data environment with an essential layer of configurable in-country flexibility.
So like a global engine with local tires.
That's a good way to put it. Think of it as having a globally consistent core engine, but highly localized, easily interchangeable components or rule sets for each country.
And I assume your physical local presence supports that flexibility. That must drive deployment velocity, especially in complex regions.
It does. Our rapid on-site approach uses local expertise for hands-on implementations. Take the Middle East and Africa region, for example. Fragmentation is the norm there. Regulations change fast.
Very complex jurisdictions.
Extremely. Our local presence enables a 4-month implementation timeline there. That's significantly faster than the industry average, which often drags on for 9 to 12 months for multi-country rollouts in those areas.
Wow, 4 months versus 9 to 12.
Speed matters. It minimizes the window of business disruption and regulatory exposure. Getting it done quickly delivers value faster.
A 4-month reduction in time to go live. That delivers massive, immediate time to value. But who specifically manages the localized nuance? Making sure that fast deployment doesn't miss critical tax thresholds or reporting deadlines.
That falls to our regional subject matter experts, our SMEs. They are the human intelligence layer on top of the system.
The local experts.
Exactly. These regional experts drive the local compliance updates, they provide crucial in-country training, they lead the user acceptance testing simulations. This deep local knowledge is critical because it minimizes the client's compliance workload while guaranteeing absolute adherence to each nation's often very complex legal and tax frameworks.
And managing a rollout across potentially 160 countries without chaos? The deployment methodology itself must be incredibly disciplined.
Oh, it has to be. It's based on a structured, milestone-driven approach. We call it the gated methodology.
Gated methodology.
Yes. It guarantees a consistent rollout process and standardized governance across every single territory. We execute this using an agile delivery model, which allows transformation at speed. We routinely see up to 30% of a client's global workforce onboarded and processing payroll within the first 4 months of the project starting.
30% in 4 months. That's rapid proof of concept realization.
It shows the model works, and works quickly.
Okay, this sounds operationally superior, clearly, but let's pivot to the measurable outcomes. So what does all this unification mean for the balance sheet? Why is it financially superior beyond just mitigating risk?
With the return on investment, the ROI in a unified model it's truly unassailable because you are systematically eliminating entire layers of cost and risk. When we talk to clients, we can cite verifiable metrics, hard numbers.
Like what? You mentioned a 60% operational cost reduction earlier, which sounds, well, aggressive. Where do those savings actually come from?
It sounds aggressive, but it's achievable. The savings come from 4 key areas, primarily. First, you eliminate the management overhead. Think about managing dozens of local vendor relationships. Gone.
Right, contract management alone.
Exactly. Second, you reduce the internal FTE hours spent on manual data reconciliation between systems. Huge time sink. Third, that 90% acceleration in compliance updates we mentioned. That drastically reduces the risk of expensive regulatory penalties.
Exactly, yeah.
Significant fines. And fourth, the 95% fewer data errors mean far less downstream financial cleanup, corrections, unhappy employees. These are tangible, impactful numbers that go straight to the bottom line.
That reduction in operational overhead and risk is compelling, especially if you're managing a global P&L. And crucially, the unified model must offer better flexibility compared to juggling dozens of separate, often proprietary local contracts.
Absolutely. We move away from those murky, unpredictable billing models you often get with local providers. We provide transparent and predictable commercial terms. Flexible pricing models, too, clients can choose per head, per country, or a global license option, whatever suits their scaling needs.
And crucially,
we stand by fixed cost implementation. When we scope that integration, that number is locked. No hidden fees later on. The commercial risk is minimized right from the outset. Clients know exactly what they're getting into.
okay. Finally, we absolutely cannot discuss global payroll without hitting security hard. Financial data, employee data, moving across potentially 160 borders. That's the definition of a high-risk scenario. The financial argument doesn't hold water if the security foundation isn't flawless.
You're absolutely right. Security is the bedrock. It enables the entire unified structure. Our platform is built on enterprise-grade security that isn't optional. It's mandatory, baked in. We're SOC 2 Type 2 and ISO 27701 certified.
And those aren't just checkboxes.
Not at all. These are continuous, rigorous auditing standards required by global financial institutions. We enforce end-to-end encryption, both in transit and at rest. And critically, we offer GDPR-compliant global data residency options.
Meaning clients can control where the data is stored.
Exactly, allowing them to control precisely where their sensitive employee data resides physically, satisfying diverse global regulations like GDPR and others. Full control, full compliance.
Okay, so to synthesize what we've really unpacked today, the core advantages of mandating unification seem to be, first, massive acceleration in deployment speed. Second, unassailable enterprise-grade security. And third, real standardization driven by a single-source data architecture. The whole framework sounds like simplicity by design, eliminating those redundant layers, providing a consistent, unified user experience for every employee, no matter the country.
That's the goal. Ultimately, viewing global payroll as just a collection of local headaches is, well, it's an obsolete perspective now. The shift we've analyzed today transforms payroll from being a mere transactional compliance necessity.
A cost center.
Right, a cost center, into a strategic, unified asset, something that actually enables global growth rather than hindering it.
So a final thought for our listeners to maybe mull over.
I think the final thought to explore is this. How much hidden capacity in terms of strategic decision-making time for your leaders, budget flexibility, risk mitigation, how much of that capacity is unlocked within your organization when your core HCM ecosystem is complemented, not complicated, by your global payroll solution?
Complemented, not complicated.
Exactly. That unified visibility and control, that's becoming the non-negotiable standard for the future of successful global expansion.